Hey guys. Hey guys. Welcome to another episode of Hello World with your girl Joy from Be the Difference Clothing. How is everybody doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I hope you're doing lovely. And I hope life is treating you well. Um, Nothing but peace over here. So if you are in need of peace, may you feel rejuvenated while you're here, either through the chat or something that I may possibly say. I appreciate you guys for being here. We are on a mission and we're almost to completion. There's a lot of stuff that's about to happen. If you would stick around, and you'll see exactly what that's all about. So, grab your seats and grab your tables and trays, and don't leave it in the upright position. Let that thing sit down and get comfy and cozy, because we're about to go round for round and round and rounds of inspirational quotes and all the other things that could come up too. So how is everybody doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I hope you're doing lovely. I'll tell you about my day. And I'll tell you right now. So I woke up this morning and I went to work. Um, I, I, you guys, there's so much stuff going on. Um, it's hard to like really put a capsule on it, but at the same time, I'm still blessed and I'm still okay. So, I'm always protected. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I need you to all believe that you're always protected as well. You know what I mean? Especially if you have faith in God, your maker, creator, or whatever you were raised to believe, or whatever you come to know as what is belief for you. I do desire that you initiate and activate what the power of your faith is, because there's too much at stake, uh, too many things that we leave to the unknown when we have more control over that. You know what I mean? So I went to work. Like I said, work was good. There was nothing wrong or anything like that. It was just a really busy day today. So I really wasn't around, but I was present as much as I could. Today is Miss Key's birthday. Miss Key's Kitchen, her birthday's today. So shout out to her. Happy birthday to her. I hope that it was a beautiful day thus far. Um, and anybody else who may be celebrating a birthday, I know Leo is your boy. I mean, it's your boy Leo. His birthday is coming up very soon too. So there's a lot of people who I mean, every day somebody's celebrating something, right? So we might as well just get used to it and be in a celebratory attitude as often as we can. You know what I mean? Celebrate your triumphs and maybe sometimes your defeats too. Ooh, we have a member. We have a member. And it's Wellness with Frugal Mama. Hey, lady, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Um, I will say this though, when I saw you earlier today, I was just like, man, I walked in right when you were saying, you know, to do what you have to do and don't be afraid and just do it. And I'm like, all right. Because at that very moment, I was saying to myself, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? I was battling like whether I should or shouldn't. And guess what? I still haven't done. Okay, I'm a little slow when it comes down to something. I'm a little sensitive and soft. Okay. But I felt like it was a confirmation. So we have to keep on speaking regardless of whether it makes sense to us, because it might be somebody's breakthrough, what they needed to hear right when they were probably looking for an answer that they only asked God to make the answer in a special way that only they knew. And that's how we have the key. I talk about the keys all the time. So, we definitely just keep on talking, keep on doing what you're doing, wellness. Because it definitely is an inspiration for me, and I enjoy your lives. when I'm able to get around. But I definitely enjoy it, and it's always something. I'm always learning something, so that's a good thing too. So yeah, y'all. So somebody bought us lunch again today. So I had pasta. Oh, that's probably why I have a drip, because that pasta was diced in, like, cheese or whatever. The red sauce, the vodka, that vodka pasta, I think they put a lot of cheese in that. So I was like, why do I feel like I'm getting all nasally and congested? Now I see why. Um, but what else? So I ate a ton of that, and I had bread. I had pasta and bread, and then they had like a broccoli rabe type of vegetable. So I had that too. And they had mushrooms in it. I don't like mushrooms, but I said, well, I can't pick or pluck the mushrooms out. This is like, you know, it's supposed to be shared with the rest of my coworkers. So I ate the mushrooms. And I was like, well, actually, I didn't taste nothing. There was a lot of broccoli and spinach and red pepper. So it was like really packed with a lot of greens. Um, and they used a lot of oil too. So, needless to say, it was a good day, a decent day, regardless. Like I said, I didn't have any hiccups or anything like that. Um, yeah, it was decent. It was decent, and it was hot too. Um, and I had my own lunch. I had fish sticks and French fries. Don't go for me, please. Don't go for me. I had fish sticks and French fries, and then came lunch. So, because I didn't feel like cooking. After I came from the gym yesterday, I was so tired. I just didn't feel like cooking anything. And you guys know I cook everything from scratch. So that would have mean I have to cut up all of the vegetables and, mix it with. I just didn't feel like doing that yesterday. Um, I didn't go to the gym at all today, but I'll go again tomorrow. My neck, I would say my neck is about 60% better than what it felt like before. And I could do this up to where I start to feel a little discomfort. Right there, a little discomfort. But otherwise, it's better than last time, a couple weeks ago. And I was just like, I can't move my neck. It hurts. So it is what it is. What else today? Um, that's about it. That's about it. I nothing nothing terrible to report. Um, but I will say I'm thankful that February is gone, because I think I've come to the conclusion that February is just, it's a hard month. And when I think about historically how February has been during the course of my life, I'm like, yeah, something always jumped off in February. Something always jumped off in February, something traumatic. So I gotta think about how I need to meditate and heal from the traumas of February. Because if I don't, one, I'm not practicing what I speak. Two, that thing is gonna germinate and create a void that doesn't need to be there, since I'm already on a good, decent journey of healing, from all sorts of things. You know what I mean? So that's why I say every day something can become traumatic, but we have to realize that that is possible. It doesn't mean that it has to take years and years and years, but when there's traumatic instances that happen, we have to just be like, okay, this happened. This is how it made me feel. This is how I feel right now about it. And this is how I want to, try to overcome it. So I definitely have to keep on recognizing that it's not my fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the way things happen sometime. And I need to be okay with everything not always being peachy keen, because I told you guys that not everything is always going to be peachy keen, but at least I have the tools. I know the tools. And the tools are: go through the recovery process, be shocked, then be upset, then be sad, then start to be okay. So I'm at the phase of needing to start to be okay. And I'm okay with talking about that because I'm human as anyone else. And just because I may sit here in front of the camera and try to encourage you guys each and every day, and I told you guys that it's not always easy, I can honestly say that every day hasn't always been peachy keen for the month of February, but I handled it okay. I didn't allow it to make me spiral out into a depression when it could have. God, my ancestors, my maker, whatever, always sends a dove. And it doesn't have to be another human being. It could be just a word. It could be something that you see on a bus, or, you know what I mean? It just will always prepare a dove for you so that you can have and find peace. But you got to be available to see that. Hey, Afro, how you doing? Good to see you. You have to be available. And I want to be available. I did get permission to share what happened, so I guess I will. Um, so Super Bowl Monday, because I don't remember the actual date. I get a text from my sibling, and mind you guys, my phone hasn't been working. Has not been working very well. Meaning, like, it'll open up my text messages, or it won't show me my messages, or like my phone isn't updating. And trust me, I made the oh, well, let me tell y'all this. All right. Trauma number one. You guys, if you guys were with me on a Sunday, beginning of February, you saw at the gym I got bad news that somebody I knew passed away. That was really scary, like shocking. Let's say that. It was very shocking. And then like a week later, I get a, text. Thankfully, it wasn't like while I was doing my busy time at work. I finally get the text to come in. I restarted my phone, and all of a sudden all these things started coming in. And then I see a text that says, um, Dad's not feeling well. And he's been rushed to the hospital. I was like, what you talking about? Like, so I'm like, where is he? You know what I mean? I didn't know where he was. So I took a chance and called his phone. He answered the phone and he told me he was at the emergency room. So I'm like, what hospital are you in? He was in a hospital that was like 40 minutes away from where we live. And I'm like, first of all, I was boiling mad. Like, why are you that far away? So I'm like, so, what's wrong? And I didn't understand the seriousness of his condition. It's like, just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean that everything is all right. So I'm like, oh, it's probably nothing big or whatever. So hours later, I'm like, hey, how's it going or whatever? Still in the ER. And then I'm like, all right, nobody's giving me no information. So let me call a hospital myself. Call a hospital in the emergency room nurse. I figured out how to find it. Um, I found the emergency nurse, and she was telling me, he was there still and seemed more comfortable or whatever. So I'm thinking like it's nothing big, right? And again, I wasn't there to fully assess what was going on. Long story short, they admitted him to the hospital that evening, and then they had to do some tests and come to find out that he needed to have emergency surgery. So if any of you like really knew my family, we don't do hospitals, right? Meaning like we've been blessed to be well majority of our lives. So first of all, to find out that he was in the emergency room was already shocking enough, because it's like, dang, that really must have been serious. But it didn't hit me because I was still like, what's going on? So he was in the emergency room, got admitted, and had to have surgery the next day. Luckily, I knew one of the surgeons that was working that works in that hospital. And I said, "Hey, my dad's been sitting in the ER for like several hours and just waiting for a doctor or waiting to get tests taken or whatever." And then she was like, "All right, I was like, if you could just look out, make sure he's all right. Cause again, I'm not there and I don't know what's really going on. Is it a thing where they're just making people sit around? Is it understaffed or whatever?" So I'm just sitting there like, "Oh, it's going to be all right. It's not bad." But when I find out that the nurses had to give him morphine, not only one time, but like 4 or 5 times morphine, y'all. I was like, whoa, this is serious. Because from what I know, when people get morphine, it's usually like, it reminds me of war movies of when people get shot up and their like bodies have been blown into pieces and they're still alive and they just shoot them with morphine so that they don't feel the pain. Mind you, he had to get like 4 doses of this and it still wasn't helping. So the next day, they took him earlier to have emergency surgery. And it turns out that it was his gallbladder. So they had to remove the gallbladder, but it wasn't just a simple case. And it's like, you have to know that if you really believe in God or anything like that, that he protects you, because while he was going far away from where there was a nearby hospital, anything could have happened, but yet he was still protected. Had I known before what was going on, I may have freaked out at work, but I still maintained calmness. Had I known the seriousness of what was going on, then I probably would have been more worried, but I wasn't. I just kept on saying, like, okay. First of all, I said, bunk that stupid that stupid Will token. Remember January 1st when I was like, let's jump off that real? I was like, this is a little too real for me, okay? This isn't how life is supposed to be. Jumping off the wheel means that you're doing things different, not having all of these different types of crazy things happening. Not in February. Already um lost a friend of mine. And then a week later, my dad's rushed to the ER. So I called him the next day and he had already had his surgery or whatever. So I'm like talking to him and I'm like, hey, you'll never believe what happened to me. And I was like, I accidentally removed all of my photos from my phone. So I was pressing buttons, y'all. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. I was pressing buttons and every photo, I had about 3,000 images, videos, and images on my phone that I usually just go right up to and be able to post. All of it ended up being downloaded and taken off my phone. So when I go into my phone, I'm like, why is there only 87 items in my phone? Like pictures and video. Why is there only 87? And it's of course the 87 that don't mean anything. So I think I was more upset about that and more worried about that than I was about my dad. So I was like, Dad, I lost most of my pictures in my phone. He was like, "Ooh, that's bad." It was like, "You knew my pain." I was like, "Wait, 1, 2, 3." I don't know if I was more devastated about that. So I'm on the phone after I speak to him and I'm thinking he's okay, right? He'll get out of the hospital, like give it a day or two, right? So I'm like, yo, I'm on the phone with Verizon. And then they tell me they can't recover my photos. I would have to individually go into my Google photo thing to download every single picture. I can't do that. 3,000 images and re-download them, I couldn't do it. So when I came to grips, I was just like, all right, I just have to start fresh. I said I wanted to jump off the wheel, right? All the routines right now are gone. Long story short, my dad ends up being in the hospital for over 10 days. And meanwhile, I'm still trying to work. I'm coming on Hello World every day, but I'm more like just here. And then every day it's just a different story. And, him telling me this, him telling me that. Then I'm like, well, what's going on? And then here's the most devastating part of it all. So when I initially called the nurse, the ER nurse, I was like, okay, so when can I come up? She was like, you can't. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, only the person that brought him can come to the hospital and stay with him the whole time. I was like, what? So immediately I'm like, this is COVID. This is how they do in that hospital with COVID. That's what I'm thinking. So I can't even see him. I just have to physically call him. And that's the amount of connection that I have outside of, calling the nurses to be like, oh, can you just update me? Of course, they're not going to update you on nothing. I guess that's a good thing because if they had to update you, it would be bad news. So he kept on falling backwards, y'all. He kept on falling backwards. Y'all think a gallbladder is the easiest surgery. It really is. It really is the easiest surgery, but there was so many different types of complications that was happening to him. And I felt so bad because I was like, my dad doesn't get sick. Like, of all the things that may have happened throughout the course of our family, whatever, he's never, ever had to stay overnight in the hospital. So it turned into 10 days. I visit. So wait, let me tell y'all this. So I'm on the phone with him and I'm like, oh yeah. Then he was telling me about his neighbor, how his neighbor's son. I was like, hold up. Wait a second. What do you mean your neighbor's sons, both of them came up? So I was like, you could go, like people can come up outside. Mind you, this is like a week later. I'm realizing that I could actually go to the hospital. So last Saturday and Sunday, when I was at the gym last Saturday, I went live and I was telling you guys that I had a lot to do because I had to go and see him. And at this point, he was like, he wasn't doing good or whatever. So I was just like, all right, let me just go see him and, assess it myself or whatever, check up on the nurses and make sure they know that people are here. All right. So, everybody was respectful or whatever. But when I saw him, I was like, okay, at least he looks good or whatever. He just looked like he thinned out a little bit, but he still looked good for the fact of, he had to have an emergency surgery. And then I went back on Sunday and we went back on Sunday and he was still good. And then mind you too, y'all, another friend of mine, I had been texting and then all of a sudden I stopped hearing from them for 2 days. Then on Saturday, the same day that I not only went to the hospital, then a friend of mine was having a birthday party and I had to go to that because, they live out Midwest or whatever. And, it's their birthday. So I'm like, I don't want to be mean or whatever. So I went to the birthday and he knows my dad. So I was just like, I finally told him, I was like, yeah, I just came from the hospital, blah, blah, blah. He was like, oh my goodness, or whatever. So I guess it was good that I went out just to get it off my mind or get out of my mind what was going on or whatever. And so I get a text from my friend and they're like, oh, I had emergency surgery. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You had emergency? I just talked to you 2 days ago. How are you having emergency surgery? February, y'all. February. And I'm like, yo, is there anything I could do for you or whatever? And I had just told them the day before what was going on with my dad. And then for them, the irony to find out that they had to have emergency surgery too. Like, y'all, you have no idea what goes on. Like, we do have ideas, but like, you just don't know what could possibly be going on with people. Emergency surgery, like, let me just reiterate the seriousness of an emergency surgery. You're fine. Then all of a sudden, you're not. And all of a sudden, you don't know why you're not fine. And more than likely, your body's trying to tell you, I need help immediately. That's when the emergency comes in. You feel all the pain. This man was in pain for 7 hours before he got morphine, and then had another dose of morphine and didn't go into surgery until, let's say, like 6 o'clock the next day. So all night, most of the day, in that excruciating kind of pain, and morphine not helping. Like, when I think about it, I'm like, dag, man, first of all, you're a strong man. But secondly, like, dag, that has to tenderize anybody to appreciate life for sure. So my dad got out of the hospital on Saturday, this past Saturday. He finally got out. All I wanted him to do was get out of the hospital, because I know hospitals are there, good places, but you need to be at home to really heal. You need to be out of that environment, because you can also get sick, really, really sick in hospitals. So at least that's what I think. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily mean that, people are nasty or whatever, but there's germs all over the place in the hospital. And you don't know if you have a neighbor, if they're sick, and if they're you know what I'm saying? Or if the nurse may have caught. It's a very, very sterile, but not really sterile environment. And it's not your home. So anything, right? So I'm just thankful that he finally got home on Saturday. And every day that he didn't come home, I was just like, dag, what's taking so long? And I almost a little tipsy dipsy wavered, but I was like, no, 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 no. He's gonna be all right. He's gonna be all right. He's gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then and then I see Point Blank Travel, his dad had an emergency too. I saw the post like 2 days ago. I hadn't really had the desire to be on social media, to post, to be in people's lives. It was just like I wanted to be there, but I just didn't have it. I didn't have it in me. So all I could do was muster up enough strength to come on here, fulfill my obligation, and then leave and just, I guess, decompress however I could. It was a lot going on, y'all. And of course, at my job, February, jumping off the wheel, one of my coworkers just up and left, just up and quit. So now we're all carrying the burden of whatever they left. So it's a lot going on. So I say what I had to say. I told you I was going to tell you what was happening, but it was just, I could have forced myself, but I just didn't have the strength to do it. And I had enough strength to know better, to know like you have to keep fighting, you have to keep pushing. Girl, you have only posted 1 or 2 videos today. You ain't post nothing about your business only once today. That's not enough. You got to keep your margins up. You have to create. You got to try to sell. You got to make sure you're good at work. You have to make sure everything is good at home. You got to make sure cars are started, engines are running. You got to make sure you bring some comfort to, the hospital. All right. So like that Sunday when I went back, I brought him more of his personal items, and I got him snacks because every time I spoke to him, he was always dying of hunger. So I bought him some snacks or whatever to snack on between meals. And, I sat there. We had a good conversation on Sunday, had a good time or whatever. And it's not the same. Life is never going to be the same. So that's what I did on Sunday, y'all. When I was meal prepping, that's who I was meal prepping for. I was meal prepping for my dad, y'all. You know what I made? I made some baked chicken, and then I did some cubed chicken, like little chicken papa thingies, like little pieces of chicken here. I'm sorry if I'm not paying attention to the chat too much, but y'all know that I just can't right now. But I made little chicken papas, and then he was like, he wanted beef. I was like, why do you want beef? So I bought some cube steak. And how is a vegetarian making meals? And I didn't taste not one piece of it. Like, I was like, I don't want that. But when I was cooking it, I was like, ooh, I gotta doubly wash everything. I gotta doubly wash everything because I was like, I don't want none of that juice to be hitting on my vegetables whenever. But I made 8 meals. It took me a couple hours. I made 8 meals. And then it was so cute too, guys. I went to the dollar store and I got the little to-go trays, the little aluminum to-go trays, so that he had to warm it up in the oven and not the microwave, because y'all already know how I feel about the microwave. So he has to, and it's all sectioned off. I did my 3 scoops. Okay. I did a veggie, a sweet potato, and then like, a little sweet potato half, and then the protein or whatever you want to call that. Right. So I just did 1, 2, 3 of the veggies, and I was like, drip some gravy on there. 1, 2, 3 of the cube steak. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it looked like how it used to look when I was eating it. I was like, well, I had to ask him the other day. I was like, did it taste okay? Was it cooked all the way through? Because, like, you kind of forget that kind of stuff. I know with meat, as long as it's not too red, right? And I kept in mind that I didn't want to cook it too much, because if I cooked it too much, it'll be dry and not juicy. So I cooked it to almost where it was like a little bit of like, is that red? Not like red, but kind of like, is it like fuchsia a little bit kind of thing, but not like bloody, because we got to cook things till it's dead, but not dead. Right. So the chicken, I was like, well, I got to cook that till it's dead. So when when the baked chicken, I put that in the oven and I cooked that till it was dead. And it had the little gravy. So I put the little pieces, the chicken cutlet right there, then boom, boom, boom. Then little cube chicken. I was like, I was trying to cut little pieces open to make sure it wasn't pink inside. So either way, I was so happy to have done it. I bought him a bag of apples. I handpicked the apples. I bought him a bag of apples. So he had a little snack to go with, whatever. And then I bought some applesauce too, because I was like, well, at first I was like, oh, let me get some applesauce, because that's little, sectioned off little individual things. So I was, like if you had a little lunch, I was gonna bag each of them up into one little, bag, like take the school bag. I was gonna do that, but I was like, no. So the dollar store didn't have the bigger bags, the bigger whatever bags. So I just made do with whatever. I just put it in a shopping bag, and there's 8 meals in there. And then one container was filled with vegetables, and another container was filled with that cube chicken. I was like, listen, I don't have no dipping sauce. So you're going to have to be doing your own dipping sauce. But long story short, y'all, when I tell you it was a crazy month, it's like, and they always talk about that superstition about threes. I just said, oh my goodness. I just had to fight for positivity. I had to fight for it. So on that Thursday, I went to my friend's her wake. I went to her wake while my dad was just recovering from having surgery. And then I'm like, okay, I really need him to hurry up and come home. He was supposed to come home, but they had to keep him because he kept on getting infections. And I'm just like, yo, what is going on? But I said, you know what? You got to trust the process, chill out, just take it as a little time to chill out and relax and not be on the go. Like my dad is always on the go. He's always on the go. And the thing about him is he does a specialty that no one else can do, right? And so when he told his clients what happened to him, because he was calling them or whatever, he told his clients what happened to him. I know they were like, "What?" Because he never ever has an emergency. So I'm thankful that everything happened the way it was, the way it happened. Even though there was like a delay, at least one, I knew a doctor that was working there, an anesthesiologist. I knew an anesthesiologist that worked at the hospital. So they're always in surgery. So once I told them, they put the call out. So maybe that bumped him up into surgery faster because he was like, yeah, they took me faster. Two, y'all. Oh, y'all, I didn't tell y'all the good part of the story, right? So my dad had on one of my socks. He had on the Nature's Beautiful socks. So I'm talking to the ER people and I was like, listen, I'm not trying to be nasty or anything, but I'm like, can you please just give him something just to help him? Because he had just told me that he was, you know, in pain or whatever. I was like, please, can you just give him something or something to eat or whatever? And they said, oh, yeah, I was just telling him how his socks look nice. And he was like, yeah, my daughter made it for me. Can y'all believe that? Out of all the things that was going on, even in emergency, you still can be inspired. He was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, your father was telling me that you made the socks. I was like, oh, yeah, you can check out my website, y'all. I was giving out websites and that poor man was having an emergency. But people noticed my craft, y'all. People noticed my craft even in the midst of an emergency. So he told me when he was being taken, into about to have the emergency surgery, they were like, "Oh, your socks look nice." Even the people in the surgery room was like, his socks look nice. And then he said when he woke up, he was like, "Joy, my socks were gone." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Somebody stole your socks." He was like, "I didn't know what happened." He was like, "I don't know. They just put the hospital socks on his feet." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." So that was a funny thing. Like, here we go. Like, somebody took your socks. I was like, I'm walking to the emergency room and I'm asking like the lost and found, like, how do I find out what's lost and found or whatever? And then I got the runaround. So I was like, you know what? I'm done with that. His socks were gone. So then this Sunday that I went to go see him, I bought him another pair of socks. I bought him a pair of socks. And I'll be posting that on social media so you guys will see. But he was like, Joy, can you bring me another pair of socks, please? Because I guess he wanted to, like, sport the socks and try to sell it or whatever. And so I put the socks on his feet. And the nurse came. She's like, oh my goodness, those are cool. I put the do unto other socks on his feet. And that was funny. So when he was about to be discharged, he said that one of the nurses brought him back his socks. What's lost can be found. I didn't even have to go to the emergency room, but I believed deep down in my soul, I believed that he would have gotten his socks back. I just wasn't saying anything. But I say, you know what? If it's gone, it's gone. Somebody stole the socks. They be wearing some Be the Different socks. Oh, well. But I was like, that's so cool. I'm over here talking about, can you give him some morphine? And he's like, yeah, I love those socks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's weird, but at least it's like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, I made an imprint somewhere. And I was like, see, I'm so glad I wasn't yelling at y'all over the phone because you'd have been like, that company is like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was real calm or whatever. Um, but thankfully, he ended up getting to leave because every day that he thought he was going home, more infection, right? And he had to stay. So I don't know. He's still in recovery right now. He got his socks back, which is cool. And I bought him a pair of socks, which was even cool. So he wore those up until when he left. And he got out on Sunday, right? I said Sunday. See, now they playing games, right? Why is my internet acting up now? You see? But he got out on Sunday, and everything is seeming to like come back together. Um, but yeah, like when I tell you guys there's a lot going on, I'm not joking around about that. I just didn't. I had to get permission. I had to get his permission to talk about it because I didn't want to talk about him without him being okay with me telling you guys. But it was also like, I don't know. It does something to you. It really does something to you. So this is why I say these little traumas that happen to each and every one of us, we just got to face it, overcome it, and not be afraid. And just be like, believe that the outcome is going to come out, one, good, two, even better, and three, your life is changed. I know I've been talking about jumping off that wheel. Are you ready? Because jumping off that wheel can affect everything around you. I'm not saying because I jumped off the wheel, he ended up having an emergency. But I am saying is, your atmosphere, your life is going to shift. You got to be prepared for the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm glad the ugly didn't come about. And I'm thankful that he's still healing. And I know he's going to be okay long term. But are you guys ready? Are you ready for a different type of life? Just do it. And let me tell you, throughout this whole ordeal, I have never seen him laugh or heard him laugh so much. And I think now he understands how I truly feel about nature and the beauty of it. Because I guess when you go through something that is that devastating to your whole system, you got to look at life different. You got to look at life different. So no matter what is going on in your own life, some things you won't be able to handle. Some things may all come at one time. But you have your people that you know you can go to. If you don't have anybody that you feel like you can go to, go to God, your maker, your creator, or whatever you believe in. Yeah, and then also too, not Dr. Brooklyn lost a couple people too. Like it was just so much, so many stories I was hearing all at the same time. And I'm like, dang, I can't stay on February. But I'm just saying, take care of yourselves, guys. Be careful and watch what you eat. If you can, watch what you consume. Watch what you consume and watch what you consume. Because these three things line up to create our realities. I know food look good, highly flavored and whatnot, but honestly, y'all, is it really worth your health? Possibility of your health? I'm not saying food has to be bland, but just be careful of the stuff that you're putting on it because it's going to affect everything. It does. Now he gonna have to, I told him, I said, you're gonna have to start eating like me. You're gonna have to start eating just like me. All vegetables. No more processed nothing. Because I know when you remove your gallbladders, well, my coworker got hers removed and she was telling me about the processed stuff. You really shouldn't be eating that. So I told him, I was like, listen, you have to back up off of that stuff and start eating a little bit more, like maybe more vegetation. And like you can have your protein if you love it. Okay. You can have that, but like more vegetation than anything. It's not saying that nothing bad can happen, but maybe it can prevent things for or hold it down for a longer period of time. So I don't know, y'all. Life right now is different for me. And I'm not upset about anything. But it's just like I said, you just got to get through. And everything's going to be all right. Everything is all right now. I can't even be sad. There's nothing to be sad about because he's home. This is what, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're on Wednesday. This is his second or third day back home. And so far, so good. He was telling me that, he was doing some things around the house. Not too hard, not too soft, just a few things. And that's a good sign, too, when you get your strength back and you're able to do some of the things that, just to maintain. So I know he's going to be all right. And I hope that my desire is that everybody here will be all right, too. And whatever goes on in your life. It doesn't even have to be about health. It could just be about your mental. You'll be all right. But go through the process. Understand the tools that God, your maker, creator, or whatever you believe in has given you. You personally and through other people. Shoot, who else? Ron was going through something too. It's like, but then again, just be prepared to, when life changes, go with the change. Don't go against it. Don't fight it. Just go with it and know that and believe with all of your faith, even if it's a little bit, believe that everything is going to happen exactly the way it's going to happen, to the optimal capacity for everyone around you and that's involved in whatever situation is going on. And I believed, even though I was hearing things that I didn't want to hear, I still believed. I knew where my source was and is, not was. I knew where my source is. I called on everything that I believe. I called on everything that I believe. You think I'm joking around? I'm dead serious. It was no time for crying, for thinking like, oh my God, what if? It was no time for doing none of that. I had to believe. I had to pray. I had to meditate. I had to fast. Do what you got to do, but utilize all of the tools that has been given you. So we're in March now, and I have some more news that I'm going to be telling you guys next week. But it's not bad. It's not devastating. It's good stuff. This is about the most devastating thing that I had to go through in my little life. And I'm so thankful that I couldn't be there, because Lord knows what I would be capable of handling. I don't know if I could take a direct being right there and seeing him in crippling pain. I don't think I would be able to take that. So I'm thankful that I didn't have to be exposed to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I'm saying, like, everything happens for a reason. That nurse telling me that he couldn't have visitors happened for a reason. Maybe I didn't need to go up there and see what I could have potentially saw to really throw me off. But I went when he was seeming to be at what I thought was his strongest. He was telling me on that Saturday and Sunday he wasn't feeling good at all. But yet he was still there talking to me and laughing. But he was not feeling good at all, and I couldn't detect it. So anyway, y'all, keep your it's 49 minutes. I gotta go anyway. Keep your head up. Keep believing. Keep focusing. Get off of that wheel for sure. Just get off of the wheel, because it's not gonna do nothing but get better. Hopefully you won't have to have any devastating news or anything like that, but it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better than what you've been used to and accustomed to. Throw off that. Get off the wheel. It's time for us to not get accustomed to anything but getting up and brushing our teeth and, you know, doing that kind of ritual. But other than that, switch it up. If you know you've been stagnant in your job, get off that job. Don't like jump off right away. But I mean, start looking at something. Start looking for something else. If you're not happy in the field that you're in, start looking for a different field. I don't care how old you are. When there's a door that's supposed to open for you, it's going to open no matter what you look like, no matter how old you are, and no matter what people think you're capable of doing, you will be equipped. Ain't nobody going to be able to stop you. So, you are beautiful and amazing. There is no mistake about you. I'll be around more now that everything has been settled. Uh, Everything is more settled and stuff. So I'll be around uh, to see everybody's lives and to watch your videos or to play your videos. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'll be, I'll be around more, and my internet is acting up. I hope the replays are gonna be bad, but I only see that as a distraction. But remember, guys, you are beautiful and amazing. There is no mistake about you. I don't care how many hurdles you have to jump. I don't care how many cuts and bruises or cuts and deep scars you have. You deserve to live a full, colorful life. You deserve to be around all of the people that will help you be enhancing that life. You deserve to have the quality of things, that material things that you may want or desire in your life. I don't care how it looks, what you're going through, what you did. As long as you're not going back into a vicious cycle that's only going to lead to destruction and a dead soul, I'm for you. I support you. I appreciate you guys for listening to my little long story. Sorry for not looking at the chat too much. It's not on purpose or anything like that. It's just I don't know. I'm weird like that. But I appreciate you guys for being here. If you're going through anything and you find it hard to talk to people, just know, believe in your maker, believe in God, your ancestors. Just believe, hold strong to that. You give it to them. You say, I need your help. If you can't find a human being, you tell God, whatever you believe in, I need your help. And what they're going to do, they have to help you because they're there for you. And they will help carry you through. And all of the doubts and fears that you may start to have, it will subside because they're there. I'm here every single day to talk about everything and anything. And then I was like, yo, another thing I was thinking, I was like, yo, this can't be happening. I'm almost close to 1,000. Please, you know what I'm saying? Like, I started to think crazy thoughts too. I was like, yo, this ain't right. Like, maybe I should stop. Like, but no. God is stronger than my fears. My ancestors are always there. Buddha, whatever you believe in, is always there, ready and willing to be your comfort when you just can't utter anything. Even when you can't utter something, just fall back and give them your worries and your fears, or give God whatever you believe in. Give it out, give it back, so that you can get comforted and healed, so you don't have any long-lasting traumas. So I appreciate you guys for being here. My name is Joy from Be the Difference Clothing, and I am signing out on another episode of Hello World. Yes.